So it's time to talk about special angles. And what special angles are is basically they are angles for which the trig function is a nice, tidy number. And there are generally 5 special angles that you need to memorize. And you need to memorize the pattern between sines and cosines. So that really makes about 10 things to memorize. And there's going to be actually a lot of questions for secant of 60 or tangent of 30 or whatever, and all these different trig functions. If you just know these starting ones, you can rebuild anything else, tangents, secants, cosecants, and so on. And in the next section, we'll be getting on to angles larger than 90 degrees, and we'll talk about that later. But these first 10 numbers are super important, and they need to be memorized. So let's just go through this list quickly. We've got 0, 1/2, square root of 2 over 2, square root of 3 over 2, and 1. And cosines are going to go in the opposite order. 1, square root of 3 over 2, square root of 2 over 2, 1/2, and 0. Okay. Now you can see patterns there, right? The sine starts out at 0 and goes to 1. The cosine starts out at 1 and goes to 0. And the numbers that you hit along the way are the same numbers. They're just in a little bit of a different order. I want to show you a pattern that may be useful for you. If it's not, forget it. Don't do it. But if it is useful, then maybe you can have an easier time memorizing these things. So square root of 2 and square root of 3, I'm just going to leave those as they are. But I want you guys to think about 1 a little differently. What if we called 1 just the square root of 4 divided by 2? Well, it is, right? Square root of 4 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And what if we called 1 the square root of 1 over 2 and 0 the square root of 0 over 2? Well, do you see that these are all the square root of something divided by 2? And it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, if you want to call this the 1, 2, 3, 4 rule or whatever, fine. And then likewise with cosines, it just goes in the opposite direction. Square root of 4 over 2, square root of 3 over 2, square root of 2 over 2, square root of 1 over 2, and square root of 0 over 2. Now in the computer problems, if you put in square root of 4 over 2 instead of the number 1, it'll mark it right because square root of 4 over 2 is equal to 1. And if you want to remember it with the writing I put in green, great. If you prefer the one in red, that's fine too. Now, tangents. You are free to memorize these things if you like. With me, I generally don't, unless I'm teaching trigonometry, and then I'm talking about this so much I end up memorizing them anyway. But I generally don't worry about it, as long as I know sines and cosines, because this is a neat little trick. Tangent of 0 is just equal to the sine of 0 divided by the cosine of 0. Okay? So you take the sine of 0, which is 0, the cosine of 0, which is 1, and there you go. There's your tangent of 0 degrees. It's 0. Tangent of 30 is just sine of 30 divided by cosine of 30. Okay, and that is 1/2 divided by, what's cosine of 30? Square root of 3 over 2. Okay, and if you do your keep, flip, change, this will turn into 1/2 times, hold on, 2 over square root of 3, which means this is 1 over square root of 3. Okay, see what we did there? Crossed out those 2's, and we just have 1 over square root of 3 as our tangent of 30. Well, you can go through the same pattern. I'll just move more quickly now. Do sine over cosine for each of these angles, and here are the answers you will get. And this one does not exist. So here are the tangents of these special angles. 0, 1 over square root of 3, 1, square root of 3, and d and e. And one helpful way to remember this is they're getting bigger. Tangent of 0 is as small as you can get, it's just 0. And then using square root of 3, we go first to this fraction, then to the number 1, which is really like square root of 3 over square root of 3. And then to square root of 3 by itself, not divided by anything. And then the biggest number of all, right? This is really infinity here, because you're trying to divide 1 by 0, right? Sine divided by cosine, and that doesn't work. So now when you see special triangles, like let's say we have a special triangle like this, and there's one of the homework problems that wants to know what is x, what is y. And what it tells you is that this is 45 degrees in these two spots, and it wants to know what x and y are. Well, if you know these special angles, you can figure this out, because x, how do I want to say this? Let me rephrase this. There's the special triangle right there, and we know that the sine of 45 degrees, from what we just showed above, is square root of 2 over 2. But we also know that the sine of 45 degrees is the opposite over adjacent. Opposite over hypotenuse, which is y divided by 1. So what that means, think about what y divided by 1 is, right? We should know that. That's just y. So that tells us that y equals the square root of 2 over 2. And likewise, you can talk about the cosine of 45 degrees and figure it out the same way for x. X would also be equal to square root of 2 over 2. Let's do another special triangle. This one's a 30, 60, 90, because we like those angles of 30 and 60 and 45. Okay, I'm going to take this, and let's just say that's x, that's y, and this is a length of 1 on the hypotenuse. And I would say, okay, well, let's talk about sine of 60 degrees. Now we know from up here, where's sine of 60? That's this guy. Okay, that's square root of 3 over 2. Square root of 3 over 2. But it's also equal to, if you look at your picture, y over 1, which is just y. So therefore, y equals the square root of 3 over 2 in this picture. And likewise, if you do the cosine of 60 degrees, you'll get 1/2. And that's equal to x over 1, which is just x. So therefore, x equals 1/2 in our picture. Okay? So these are very useful things to memorize, these quantities up in this big red box. And the triangle example that you'll have in one of your homework problems is just a different way of asking, have you memorized those important trig functions?